So my grievance is that you have made multiple violations of the GPNC bylaws, including the Ralph Brown Act Code of Ethics. And in the bylaws, it allows for removal of any board member for cause. And in point of fact, failure to comply with the Code of Ethics may be cause for removal, given the repeated violations and the attitude about them, which is still less than acknowledging responsibility for your actions or in any way accepting responsibility for them or in any way reaching out to the community with an apology or anything else. My request is that you be removed. Well, I'm asking the board, I'm a stakeholder, and I'm making a request to the board to take action. So I don't think there's a whole lot of questions that need to be addressed to anybody other than, here's my request.
Right.
Put it up in front of the board.
And I'd like to recommend, consider that the executive board refer this matter to the general stakeholders. Just simple motion.
You're looking at me, you want me to make a motion?
Yes.
To agendize it for the general stakeholder meeting.
Excellent. Can I get a second? Thanks, Diana Molina. So we're going to be putting this on the agenda. I will make sure that the copies are provided to the board members in advance to review and also provided to the DUB. Thank you so much. You do have 2 minutes, so please do speak.
Yeah, at the executive board committee meeting, which I was there, I presented my grievance about you. And during the discussion of that, my understanding was that it was to be presented to the full board at this meeting. So I would like to know, why isn't it on the agenda? And why isn't it being presented as was discussed and agreed to?
I can answer that. Do you have a copy of the agenda?
For tonight?
Yes.
That was the one that pencil markings on.
Let me track it down. Yes, okay, go ahead.
Do you have a copy of the agenda?
I do.
Okay, did you look through the area B? Number 3.
Okay, that does not address my grievance.
It actually does, and it will as soon as the subject comes up.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that it does not.
Thank
and
you.
I'm going to explain why. And the reason
You've
why.
got 2 minutes.
And if you'd stop interrupting me, then maybe I could use that full time. But the reason why is because in order for it to be addressed on this agenda, it has to be described with sufficient information for any stakeholder out there to recognize what it is that's on the agenda. Nowhere in here does it say on this agenda that my grievance against you is going to be considered. And that means you can't consider it. And you can't sneak it in under a generalized agenda listing. It has to be described with enough specificity by law for the stakeholders to recognize what the issue is. So I will ask, why wasn't that done?
And I will say this again, it is on the agenda B3. And when it comes up for discussion, you can make that point well known, or you can choose to have it put on the next agenda for the general committee stakeholders meeting.
I see. Well, what I will tell you is that you can't discuss it tonight because it isn't on this agenda.
Perfect.
People don't know about it. And I will say that I think it's one more issue.
That's fine.
One
That is
more
perfectly
issue
fine.
of how this is being done that is upsetting. And no, I'm not gonna, you know, after having sat through that meeting and discussed it, George, you were there. The agreement was that it would be brought up before the entire board. This is one more issue of ethics, honesty, and representation of the stakeholders. And I'm very upset about it.
I understand, and we understand that you are upset about it. And if you'd like, we can take this off the agenda and put it on the next agenda.
This,
as,
you
excuse
can
me,
leave on the
excuse me, Miss Oxford. You can choose to be rude, and you can choose to be loud, or you can choose to, again, respect the ground rules, for which I don't believe we're here listening when we set those ground rules. I'm not going to allow you to disrupt this meeting. If you have an issue, which you have raised, I've already given you two choices. We can either hear it B3 or we can put it on the next agenda. Neither decision, neither of those two options are making you happy. So if that is not what you wish, then we're not going to bring that issue up during this meeting.